Okay, so today we are going to be talking about if kids' movies are now for adults. I'm here with V, and this is a video collaboration where we'll be discussing how times have been changing and what's really happening in the movie industry now. I'll start off by saying that if you look at recent films such as Deadpool, which is a rated R film, and Deadpool falls into the X-Men universe, it has earned three-fourths of $1 billion, and it is extremely popular among adults. The same is being said for Batman versus Superman, where you have fans now clamoring and demanding an R-rated version be released in theaters. And this is happening all across the board with even cinematic movies or animated movies. Adults are the ones following these films. People well into their 30s and even their 40s are now completely entrenched in these films, and children are basically on the sidelines. I mean, I think it's important to really see that these movies are cartoons, kids, superhero films, Young Justice, whatever. They're no longer for kids. This is now something that adults, that they grew up with and they want to continue watching throughout their entire lives. What are your thoughts, V?
My thoughts on them kind of stem like how you've been saying. Over the past couple of decades, they've gone from simple films like Finding Nemo and Toy Story and even Monsters, Inc. going from kids watching to adults where they're just like, I want to see Inside Out, I want to see Frozen, I want to see X-Men, Days of Future Past. It's more adults going to see those than children nowadays. And from the appeal that goes into them, it's kind of like, wow, so many adults are spending their monies on this that's like, where are the kids anymore? The fact that all these adults are finding more comfort into the teenage or even child market is quite astounding for what's been going on in the film industry and even in the television industry, where people are saying that grown men are going to all these My Little Pony conventions, or all these grown adults are surging for people to reinvigorate the Young Justice crowd. It's getting really hectic in a great way for production and entertainment, and I quite frankly applaud it.
I agree entirely. I mean, you brought up a great example of Young Justice where you have fans clamoring for a series. And something I find interesting about Young Justice, because that was a perfect example where the writing in the series is very, very adult. It's much more adult than even, say, series like Justice League. And this, the way that the series was designed, they said the series was actually canceled because it was aiming for the child market. It was aiming for the boy market, and it was attracting too many female viewers, not enough young boys, so they could sell toys to them. But if you look at the way that the writing is done, the writing has evolved so much over the years that these are no longer series for kids. These are series for adults. They're dramas. They literally tell a serious story that people can relate to. And Flash, Smallville, all of these series, they've come such a long way. But even more so, like you said, like Toy Story. Toy Story is a perfect example. I believe that there's speculations there will be another Toy Story. I can't believe it, but I should believe it. And let's be honest, the people who are going to be going to see Toy Story, I don't know if it's 4 or 5 at this point, it's going to be the adults. It's going to be the adults.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we're living in today's modern era, where it's kind of like, we're going to market it for kids, but here's the twist. It has such a good writing that more adults are going to be indulged into buying the merchandise than even the children will. Where I've seen more young adults in the age of the 20 to 29 bracket, and even adults in the 40 to 50 bracket, buying more things of merchandise and cosplay material more than I see teenagers buying them.
Oh, hands down. I mean, when it comes to a lot of these toys, these editions, this stuff, it's the grown men that are still true believers. Stan Lee's still growing strong. Let's be honest about that.
This is very true. Stan Lee will not run out of money anytime soon.
Run out of money or run out of life. The guy's like 93 and he looks like he hasn't aged in the last couple decades.
Well, it's because he's a true believer,
But like you said, I'm really excited. I'm pretty happy about what's happening because, you know, when you're a kid, you watch these shows and you grow up with them. And we're kind of seeing that happening now. Like we're living in the year of the retro where classic games are making a comeback and classic TV shows are also making a comeback. I mean, Full House is now back is on Netflix in 2016. Come on, Full House. That's just a great example of people having that nostalgia from their childhood. But another example when it comes to these movies and the complex storylines, the first Superman movie with Henry Cavill, that definitely was not a movie for kids. I mean, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, he snaps that guy's neck.
Yeah, the most controversial Superman ending to a film in the past decade. But to be honest, for people like me that don't really care for Superman, it's kind of like he was gonna snap someone's neck eventually. I mean, this is Superman.
Honestly, I don't want to go into a long rant about the things that are wrong with Superman, but I think that the reason why Superman has always been beloved by so many characters, so many people, is because Superman was that opposite of Batman. He had great power, but he chose not to use it for pettiness, to hurt people. I mean, Batman hit a lot harder than Superman. Let's be really honest about that. Even though Superman could hit harder, he always held back. Even though Superman could always do more, he represented red, white, and blue. He was that icon of being the very best, of being a model citizen, of playing with coloring inside of the lines, of not going against the law, of not being a vigilante, offering assistance where assistance is needed. Batman, on the other hand, was an extreme vigilante, and he had seen all the bad things that had happened in the world and had pretty much given up hope on it. On the other hand, Superman represented that hope that all of us have and all of us hold on to. And I think that's one of the reasons why Henry Cavill doesn't play a good Superman, because he's trying too much to be like Batman. And it's just not going to work because, one, you're no Batman, and two, your Superman that's not Superman. He doesn't have that. It's like Superman without a heart. It just doesn't work.
But I think it's kind of what the new age of film goers want to see in a way, since I remember growing up to seeing like the old Superman films were just like all cheesy 80s effects and whatnot. And back then it was kind of like, oh, Superman is just like this goody two shoes who's a klutz in real life and da-da-da-da-da. And I even grew up with the original animated series was like the same thing, clumsy reporter by day, big bad superhero by night that fights a giant bald man. But from what is evolving now, where people want more of a serious drama where it questions morality and characters in people, since Christopher Nolan with his Dark Knight trilogy, which I have mixed feelings about, kind of brings in the whole morality and how the character development should go. I think this is what filmmakers and film goers want to see more from fictional characters, challenging what they would normally do in regular circumstances and just giving a whole new spin on it. While I don't agree with it, it is an interesting thing to develop into if it was handled more correctly.
Well, I don't disagree in terms of creating a deeper storyline and questioning the moral decisions that characters make, but there are different perspectives. For example, Batman is dark, Superman is light. They could have played a different angle where basically you have Superman on the side of light, delving into the darkness, not being completely surrounded by it. I mean, because that's just how the latest Superman movie feels. Even the coloring of the latest Superman movie is very dark. It's not a bright film. It's not like the original films. It's designed to look very similar to that Batman cinematic universe. And again, I think that it's all great that we question the moral decisions that our characters make, but we have to remember that for there to be a yin, there has to be a yang. We have to have a balance. There has to be a light side for there to be a dark side.
I agree. But I think that's just something that people aren't really grasping when it comes to making these films anymore, because you could do that whole morality ambiguous thing if it was a character that was morally ambiguous from the get-go and if it wasn't introduced to the public. But when it comes to these modern day films, although I enjoy them and what they're doing, I think it needs to be smarter direction in how they're going to challenge moralities by getting characters that actually do struggle with morality choices.
I think we're on the same page, and I agree with what you're saying. I just wish they had presented it a bit better.
As do I.
Mhm. But getting back on the main topic, that really does signify, the complexities of the series and what fans are now demanding, and why more adults are looking towards these looking towards superhero movies and saying, they're what we want. We want to see the stories continue to evolve, but we also want to keep watching these well into adulthood.
And that is a really good step from what they're trying to do with the new millennium sort of crowd, where it's like we're entering a new era of entertainment, a new era into film, a new era into television, where it's kind of like instead of doing what the forefathers did with their material, just like doing just a bunch of cheese, they want to do something that will be memorable to all ages. Like one of my favorite new modern day shows is Steven Universe, and I enjoy that, and I want to get my
Oh, oh.
and I want to get my adopted daughter into it because it does a lot of things where it questions a lot of things that people should question in real life, like what is real romance, what is real friendship, what is strength, what is courage, what is a good mindset, how do you define your own self in real life. Shows like this will transcend ages and will transcend time to be a true classic for all those to enjoy. And that's what I'm trying to divulge into with a lot more people like the Savage Gamer here over how it's developing into a better sort of light in writing and in character development and in a good direction for entertainment in general.
There's a lot of people who hate Steven Universe.
Yeah, I know, but I stand by my statement.
Well, I honestly have never watched a full episode of it. I don't know if I will, but I understand where you're coming from. I definitely know that there's a lot of different things that happen in the series, and there's a lot of reference to culture, cultural norms, cultural themes, a very popular culture. So I definitely know that that's interesting, and that's something that people do enjoy, being able to explore more diverse and in-depth topics about things that are happening in the world around us, and not just Looney Tunes. so I agree with you on that in that respect. But so overall, I think we both agree that kids movies are no longer just for kids. As you said, they've evolved to be for more of everyone now.
Yeah, that's basically all I can say on the topic, because anything else would just sound like gibberish.
Yeah, so we're definitely in agreement on that. Guys, what do you think? Do you think that kids movies are now for adults? Do you think Batman versus Superman was directed more towards adults than children? I do. And let me and Vincent know what you think in the comment section. You can find links to each of our channels in the description, so please check out his channel by clicking on the link in the description on my channel, and check out my channel by clicking on the link in the description on his channel. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and drop us a like. Please remember to subscribe to both our channels. And with that said, if you like the video, share the video, and just remember to do something savage today.